Hello and welcome, dear viewers, to this brand new episode of your show, The Untold. My name is Zeyad and I'm here with Hiba Al-Qahtani. How are you doing?
I'm doing really great. I'm really excited about today's episode, and I'm very sure we're going to learn a lot great, let's say, information.
Yeah, we have a role model for all the, aspiring filmmakers in Kuwait, and of course, whoever is watching KTV too. So it's going to be a very interesting episode. Stay with us, dear viewers. We are about to meet Zeyad Alhusaini. All right, welcome back, dear viewers, and welcome to the studio, Mr. Zeyad, or I should say Z, right?
Yes.
So basically, before we get started, at the beginning, we would like to get to know more about you. So how about you tell us a brief background about your history and, of course, in the filmmaking industry?
Well, I'm a Kuwaiti filmmaker. I was born and raised in Kuwait. I went to study filmmaking in the US in 1991, right after the Gulf War. And I spent around 28 years in the States. I studied filmmaking through a bachelor's, MFA, and then PhD all the way. But I worked throughout all of it. I've done music videos, commercials, and films.
All right, fair enough. That's nice. That's nice.
Yes. So when it comes into the beginning, everyone has a dream. So was filmmaking one of the, let's say, main goals and dreams that you've been dreaming since childhood? Let's say from the first time you've seen cinema and movies and stars and everything.
I think I was in love with cinema, but I didn't think it was possible. Funny enough, my father was a film producer, and he produced a lot of Egyptian films. He was a partner with Kamal Shinawi. So we had many stars come to our house. Abdulhaim Hafid was his best friend.
Oh, nice.
So we had a lot of different stars. He did a show with Roger Moore, Tony Curtis. So I've always been around like actors, filmmakers. I grew up around Studio Desma because he was running it at the time. So I've always been around it, but he never wanted any of us to get into it.
All right, so you were like raised around that almost same field.
But I was told not to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
But you
like when,
did.
when we were talking about parents, especially if you go back to many great stars industry, whether they're directors, producers, and
Actors,
even
yeah.
actor and actresses, this is one of the things that they keep it as a title. Once they ask about their children, is do you want them to continue ongoing when it comes into the work? It's like, no. They have to have their own career, their own path. We don't want them to. So what do you think that the reason why? Was it, let's say, for instance, when parents think about their kids, like being a doctor, engineer, and so on?
Yeah, a lawyer in my case.
See-
They want to be a lawyer. I think, yeah, because especially back then, it was very tough to be in this industry. And there's no industry in Kuwait. Yes, there was TV and all that, but film industry was very tough. So I think he had a rough time and didn't want, even though he did amazing things, he just wanted a more stable life for his son, But, you got to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You felt like it. And in terms of that, now, like way before the top-notch equipment and, Hollywood and all these kind of things, when was the first time you held this, camera and felt, this is what I wanted to do?
Funny enough, when I was a kid, I was not allowed to touch the camera. My older brother was the one who always used the camera, and I was the kid, so I was not allowed. So when you hear all these other filmmakers, oh, they made films when they're like 5 years old, I've never touched a camera. I've made the films in my head. So I would write a lot of them. I was a very good writer since I was a kid. I had wild imagination. I saw everything, but I just didn't film it. It wasn't until I went to college that I started filming. Never.
So it was all up here.
Yes.
So one of the most difficult thing is to always try to visualize what you have as an imagination and then try to make it on the table, like to let everyone actually see what you see through your mind. So tell us about this kind of challenge, because to be honest, it's very difficult when you go to an interior designing, let's say, set, and you tell them, I want this set, and then you have something else. So
Yeah.
a lot of people do have that kind of challenge. So I'm very sure it's very difficult, especially for you in that position.
I think it comes with experience, right? So at the beginning, it's you see something in your head. So how do you put it on paper? What is your methodology? Because once you put it on paper, you can understand it, but does the crew understand what you're doing? So that's why you have to have a very interesting script, very detailed, and then you do storyboard. So I storyboard everything.
It's important, like
Yeah.
the storyboard.
So my film, how I got there, I storyboarded the whole film. So we had it on the wall, so you can see the whole film, transitions, even for the editor. So while we're filming, he gets the footage, he understands how the sequences go. So that way, everybody's not, nobody's going to guess anything. Everybody's going to be on the same page. And that's very crucial, I think. And I've learned that from, working in the industry in the US.
How long does it take for you to create a whole storyboard of like a full film?
This took a while. I was with an artist, Kuwaiti artist, Mehsen Shemiri.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, and he's amazing. And we just spent a lot of time. Like, we developed this, trust between us to a certain point where, like, he started understanding what I'm trying to do. To me, I wanted to create something where the correct angles are there. So it's not only like the idea, but even the angles, the cuts, all of that. But for the action sequences, I worked with Rafael Kayanan, who was an amazing comic book artist and the fight choreographer. So he actually choreographed the film, and he did the storyboards for the fight scenes.
Nice. So what basically like inspired you to begin with the movie شابنا here? Okay, I mixed there. Okay. So what got us here? شايبنا هني.
How I got there?
Yeah.
شابنا هني.
Yeah. So can you like who inspired you? What inspired you? And
so the first version of it I wrote when I was studying at Columbia University in New York. I was doing my MFA, and David Shaber was my professor, who wrote The Warriors, Hunt for Red October, Enemy Mine, one of the best screenwriters in the world.
Nice.
And I wrote a version of it. I didn't like it, and I showed it to him, and he goes, "I know how to fix it. I'll tell you next class." And then he passed away that night.
Oh.
Yeah. So the next class I went, and my classmate was like, "Do you know what happened to Professor Shaber? He passed away." And I was like, the shock was doubled because.
Like my story, like I didn't get any.
Now I don't know where it's gonna go.
I was shocked. I was waiting for it. Okay, and then how did he fix it? And
yeah,
he
then
passed away.
I put it away for a long time, and I was working in Hollywood, and I was writing for Legendary Pictures at the time, a different project, and I come home and my house was robbed.
Oh my God!
Like everything is upside down, and I was so exhausted. I just went to sleep. Woke up the next day, and I started thinking about this film. Maybe I was looking at it from the wrong window. And I kind of like changed my perspective, and everything kind of lined up. So I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I wrote the script. The rewrite was 4 weeks, the whole thing, which is the fastest script I've ever written.
Wow. Usually it takes like what, months?
Months, yeah, usually.
So 4 weeks.
But this one's been in my head for a very long time.
Yes.
And
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You made it. I mean, I haven't seen the movie. She did.
Yep.
So you have to tell us about your opinion.
Well, to be honest, I'm just saying this for everyone who even also watched it, except you. This is an amazing work, especially when we're talking more about Kuwaiti movie industry and how the whole, let's say, idea of it. Like in the end of the movie, this is what happened to you. It gives you the feeling like what brought me here. شابني هني. Like seriously, like all of us, we were like, how did it reach towards this point? Like it's like taking different kind of path, but in the end you come to the specific point where it was meant to be. So it was hilarious. There are lots of mixed feelings in the movie itself, and it's really great, to be honest. So it's a very, let's say, difficult industry because we have lots of people who stereotype Kuwaiti, let's say, work and peace in itself, that it's not really compared to Hollywood. Why should we, let's say, bother to enter? I mean, you should always give a chance. It's something very amazing. It's so beautiful to see such a great, let's say, empowerment in youth, and even in the Kuwaiti, let's say, citizens themselves, that they are very powerful to actually reach towards a part where it's really amazing and very beautiful to be, let's say, presented. So hopefully, I'm encouraging you more to
I'm gonna look it up
watch
next once I'm home, and I have to watch it.
Yes. Yeah. So this industry is really difficult because as we just discussing, me and Age now, is that we're really crucial when it comes into, let's say, criticizing Kuwaiti work and art, especially filmmaking industry and so on.
Yes.
So when it comes into that, I'm very sure it's really a global, this kind of, let's say, criticism and issue when it comes into different region, especially for the ones who are making, let's say, their path and way. So being that, let's say, having that said, did that, let's say, gave you more power for you to prove the point that we can make it? Or let's say, for instance, in this case, that you are up for it to make it?
I think it was a very big uphill battle for us. To begin with, a lot of people, like you said, think that Kuwaiti films are subpar. Right? So you go in with that idea first. We have a weird name, Shabnini, how I got there, but it makes you think, right? And then it's a very unusual film, even for Hollywood. It's a mix of genres, comedy, action, and drama. And whenever you mix genres, it's very difficult balance. But to me, that's about, if you're talking about someone's life, you have to have that. Because as Kuwaitis, our life is full of drama,
Right.
action, and comedy every day.
Yes.
There's always funny, there's always like dramatic, there's always something happening in our life.
Yeah, all together, yes.
Yeah, and this is who we are as you know, people. And to me, it was like, how can I make a film that represents the youth? That when actually someone young goes there, can see themselves on screen, can relate to the characters. I think that was a big part of the success of the film. Just you have young people relating to the film. And I feel like a lot of the issues we have in the film industry or TV is that lack of relation between the viewer and the characters on screen. So to us, it was like, it's a proven ground. This film has to change. It has to be a bridge, a cultural bridge, not for only Kuwait, but for the world. Like, this is who we are. So now when people view it outside of Kuwait, they understand this is what you guys are. Oh, I had no idea this is the weirdest comment I ever heard from an executive in Hollywood. He said, "Oh, I never thought of Middle Eastern people as funny."
Oh.
Which
Yeah,
tells
unfortunately,
you
we
how
have
much,
a
we are,
stereotype regarding.
underrepresented. Because Kuwait, when you think about it, you think either oil or the Gulf War. We don't have anything outside of our, country.
Hey.
Doesn't travel well. So we had to create something that travels well, represents us well.
Yeah, definitely. When I used to play video games, I still actually play video games. So when I meet people from the US or the West, and they ask, "Where are you from?" I'm from Kuwait. Oh, oil, camels, desert. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get the wrong idea. So wrong presentation of Kuwait.
Indeed.
So now you mentioned previously that you like in an early age you were used to seeing actors, actresses, celebrities around you all over. But when it comes to Ron Perlman, right? How did it feel casting him and also working with him?
I've always admired his work. I've always loved his work since Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if you've ever seen that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It was a very famous show, even in Kuwait. And then obviously as a Hellboy and all these characters. I wrote the character with him kind of in mind, but I never thought we could get him. We had another actor in that part. And then he had an issue, family issue, couldn't make the film. So we approached his manager and he said, "I don't know, you guys have low budget, it's a Kuwaiti film. But Ron likes to read all of the scripts. Nobody makes decisions for him." So he actually read it and he called us himself. He said, "I love the script. I'm in." And it's, he's been amazing. He was a big supporter of the film, amazing actor, amazing human being. We're still very good friends.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, indeed. So you've said earlier that it's very important to choose the cast that grabs the attention of the audience itself. To be honest, one of the reasons I went to watch it is I'm a Hellboy fan. So Ron was my, let's say, best actor in that sense. So when I saw him being there in a Kuwaiti movie, I was like, it has to be good. So one of the reasons that you managed to, let's say, grab my attention is having him.
by
So
the actor.
how important is that when it comes into, let's say, dealing with different kind of, let's say, taste? Because we have people who like to watch Hollywood movies, we have Bollywood movies as well, and also then combining the series that we have here in Kuwait industry and having this cast, like how important it is that it grabs the attention and affect people and the audience itself.
I think to me, the most important thing is to get the correct actor in the correct part, right? It's like, who can carry that part? Who is very believable in that part? So to me, Ron embodied that. By the way, we have a Bollywood actor, Javed Jeffrey, who played Raju. He's an amazing, very famous Bollywood actor. Came to do one part, because he liked the script and we haven't seen the film, but it's like him and Yaqub Abdullah have an amazing scene together. And when he showed up, he said, "This guy," because he's playing a custodian, like at a government building, and he goes, "These characters would speak Arabic, right?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Then I have to learn Arabic." So actually, he practiced Arabic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he made an effort just to practice and talk.
Yeah, because that was what the character was, So I studied acting in New York for 10 years, not to act, to direct actors, right? So when we started the film, for 3 months, I did rehearsals with the actors every day, stripping away bad habits, creating new habits, building a trust and language between us. So when we started casting the film, the first part I ever wrote was for AziadiQ8 Blog. He's been my friend for over 30 years. I've known him before he was an actor, and I know his abilities that nobody has seen. So I wrote the part for him. And then we started the casting process. Who would be the right character for this guy? And then I brought a casting director who's an actor, Hussein Al-Haddad, who's a very good friend. I casted him in his first commercial, and we became very close friends. And I brought him in because he works with all these actors. So he knows the abilities and different sides of them. So he would be able to go, well, you know, I would suggest this guy. And then we would do auditions.
He have his own picture towards
Yeah,
that.
and then we would rehearse with them. And each character, we built a history that you don't see in the film. So they come on set understanding why they're here, what brought them to this part of the story, and why they're affecting the story.
Yes.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's very important to have that kind of sense of communication and to have it also all set. So, I'm very sure a lot of people are really eager to, let's say, know more about our guests, and we're going to continue more in our show. But dear viewers are going to head to a break, and then we'll be back.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and we're back with Mr. Zeyad to tell us more about his experience and, of course, about his, the field, the very interesting field as a filmmaker. So basically, let's talk about your days in Columbia University and how it influenced you in the filmmaking style, to be specific.
Columbia University is one of the top film schools in the States, and what they're very good at is screenwriting. I've learned a lot of my skills actually in screenwriting from Columbia University. I studied for Dave Shaber, as I mentioned, and I studied with Jamal Joseph, who wrote Ali. He was my advisor. And I studied with James V. Hart, who wrote Dracula. So a lot of these guys are just amazing professional screenwriters. So the thing about Columbia, the great thing about it, a lot of your professors are actually professionals. They work in the field, and they're teaching you out of experience, not only theory.
Yeah.
Which is crucial if you do an MFA, So when I went to Columbia, I thought I could write before I went there. Because I've done short films. I've won awards. I've already won New York Film Festival. And when I got to Columbia, I realized I'm okay at writing. This is way more to learn. And my writing skills became way more, advanced.
Improved.
And then improved way more when I actually started working in Hollywood. Because also you're in school and, there's like cushion. When you're in Hollywood, no, you got to learn faster. You got to actually develop your own system. And develop a system that works for you. Because when you work with all these different professors, they all have their own system. What I've learned the best from Dave Shaber was write a treatment. Write very detailed treatment of what you're about to write. Like Shab Nihni, how I got there, the treatment was 60 pages. And the script was 100 and something pages. So by the time I started writing the script, I knew exactly where everything is happening, how it's going to go, where everything's going to happen. It just gave me a roadmap, which became the way I would actually develop my own screenwriting methodology.
Yes, I mean, this is something very amazing, especially when it comes into, let's say, as you just said and highlighted, that you've had awards, and then you come back to a point where everything is really crucial. Like, I'm a person who got an award, but yet again, you're facing lots of difficulties when it comes into the industry itself. So, having this successful movie, I'm very sure it encouraged you more now to, let's say, focus, because you're like in a microscope where everyone's, let's say, looking and waiting for a specific fail, a specific, let's say, detail that could mess up. So when it comes into that, I'm very sure could seek to collaboration with different, let's say, writers, different, let's say, people who could help you to enrich your, let's say, imagination. So would you consider that, let's say, something to be, let's say, to have it on the table and to think about it?
I love collaborating with people, but I love writing my own stuff too. I have co-writers in the U.S. I work with, but I'm very open to collaborating. There's always an interesting point of view that comes from outside of your world.
Right.
Because perspective is how you tell a story. So it doesn't matter how I look at something. Someone else could have a completely different perspective and take on things. Because there isn't a lot of original stories, but they're different perspective and takes on them.
Right.
So, and that's what collaboration actually allows you to do. And in filmmaking, it is collaborative, field.
Right.
Because you can't make a film by your own.
And
Unless you're making a
Definitely.
very small film. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How long was the film? Shabna.
I think it was.
Shabna,
Yeah.
How long is the
Yeah,
film?
yeah. How long?
It's 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And
It's
you
a very
never
fast
get
film.
really bored when you're watching.
No,
It's like it's
I
always
thought it was a short film, to be honest. Now that you're
no.
No.
It's on a continuing pace. Like you don't really feel the time. It's like there's an action in all between. Like even when you feel like you're relaxed, there's something.
there's something happening.
It's like a roller coaster, so it's like timing. You rest and then you go. It's a very fast-paced film, 172 scenes, 160 locations, a very massive film.
Wow. So
It's the biggest film in the history of the region.
see, now I'm like interested, like extra interested in watching the movie. So definitely, I'm gonna have to watch it. Now, in terms of writing the script and also the process of writing and developing your ideas into a screenplay, so can you explain and elaborate how do you deal with that?
Whenever I come up with an idea, it usually starts with a concept or a scene, and then I kind of build that around it. With Shabnani, it was about someone's memory of things. So he's telling you the whole story from his memory. So it doesn't matter what really happened, it's how he remembers things. So if you think about your own past, right, you only can remember things.
Yeah, just few things.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what happened, really. It's just what you remember.
That's
And
right.
that's what makes up your life.
That's right.
And if I would tell me your life story, you can only remember things that actually, but they're all there. You just have to tap into them.
Yeah.
I worked in much more detail, but retrieval of the memories and all that. But the idea of it's about someone's memory.
That's interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes into that, of course, you've been dealing and working in different kind of, let's say, aspect back in the, let's say, 90s and 2000s, talking more about video clip, talking about Miami, especially about Alhamdulillah.
Oh,
شفناكم.
yes.
Yeah. So do tell us about that kind of, let's say, shooting that was in that kind of sense of concept, and especially, to be honest, like even when we talk about it, still, we do look at the video clip in a way that it was really advanced at that time and how it was presented, and everyone, like to add, like, do you know this video clip was shot in one shot? I was like, really? Like, look. So yeah, do tell us about that and how it actually, let's say, developed from that sense.
So I did a music video before that with Miami called Ya Awlaid Nas. I did it as a short film with subtitles and all that. It was very like, it was like a storyline and all that kind of stuff. And it became very successful. So when they called me, I was actually studying at Columbia. And they said, hey, we want to do Alhamdulillah Shafnakum. And it was 6.5 minutes. And they would not cut it down. And to me, I love the idea of one shot because the difficulties that comes with it. So I do a lot of one-shot stuff, and I pitched it to them, and they loved the idea. We had no budget, so we had to bring everyone we know. We had to go film in a place called الغابة الصغيرة, the little forest, and they had zebras and giraffes, and it was like the giraffe was not working with us. They don't want to work with us. The zebra came out, started kicking everybody. We put it back, and there was like 300 people, and they're all like people we know. And we had to train them for a month to rehearse all the stuff.
That one take.
Yeah, one take. It has to be one take. And then it took 8 takes to get it right.
To perfect it.
Yeah.
So was it takes at that time something, let's say, successful for a 6 minutes, let's say, scene?
It still is. I mean,
Yeah.
I did also one shot in the avenues. It's called AziadiQ8. It was bigger.
Yes.
It was also 8 takes. It was like
So
a
that's
magic
very
number.
good. Yeah. Really good.
And now, when we like compare nowadays music videos to the 90s, how is it like? What's the difference that you see in your mind, and like the different development of the video
I
clips?
think the 90s were the best era for music videos
I agree also.
because that's how directors and artists showed the feeling of their music. Like to me, when I do a music video, it's about a feeling, right? It's not about literal translation of what's happening. It's what feeling it leaves you with. And I feel like a lot of these directors did an amazing job in the 90s creating and setting tone for the artists. That's why a lot of them came out, like David Fincher and Michael Bay became filmmakers. You know, a lot of famous filmmakers started in music videos. But it was their field to get into. Either make films or you start in music videos. And that kind of died out in the 2000s. I think once kind of like streaming came in and streaming music and all that, and the industry started losing money, they started cutting the budgets. So before, I didn't mind getting a smaller budget because I can be creative. Then there was no creativity and then no budgets, so it kind of like died out. Right now, I think there's an opportunity to do amazing music videos again because you have all these outlets,
Right.
social media.
Yeah, but like right now, I think we have less video clips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
Oh, we
is,
took a
you know,
tour.
makes no sense, right? Because you have all, the attention span became shorter and shorter and shorter, right? So now it's like what, 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they
Yeah.
need.
But you need to create something that catches attention. Because songs back then were 6 minutes. Then it
Yes.
became, I remember the day it became 4 minutes, and it became 3 minutes, and it's like now 2 minutes.
Yes, we have 2
No,
minutes. Yes.
15 seconds. It's like this is kind of an issue. Like even the singers themselves, the artists, it's like I produce a music and then only 15 seconds from my music is being viral.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no one wants to listen to the beginning or the end. It's just that part. So we can see that even the generation that we're dealing with nowadays, they're really in a rush. They can't wait for any kind of, let's say, more seconds. So I think even the movie industry could face this kind of, let's say, difficulties because they're growing.
I think,
They
I
wanted
think
to.
it's facing it already.
Yeah.
Because when I was coming up, they used to call me MTV generation, meaning I do faster cuts and faster, you know, I do ramping and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, because that's my influence. The generation before us,
Yes.
it's like very slow paced. Even the music then, the songs were like, could be an hour,
Right.
you know, and people would sit and listen because they would just enjoy it. Now, look at the films. You cannot watch them because they're just like, they don't have any pacing. And that's an issue, I feel like, you know, and this will correct itself. Like a lot of things happened before. In the 70s, you know, before that, people got sick of the kind of cinema available. So the new cinema came out, the Five Lions and all that.
Yeah.
And then the 90s independent cinema came about. So I feel like the same will happen. It has to correct
Don't you
itself.
think that maybe the new generation will see that this is okay because they haven't witnessed the legendary 90s, 80s, and
But
right.
us, you know, I was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I loved the 70s cinema. So I
Right.
was part of that revival. So the same thing happened, right? So all the young kids, I'll give you an example. I did a music video called Salam Ya Salam. Okay. It's a very famous one from the same era. When it came out, people were like, oh, is he on a wheelchair because he's like moving around and all these things. It was not very popular then. A year ago, a reporter talked about it and became viral again. So young generation started looking into it, became fans of it.
Yeah, that's a good example.
So I feel like that's the beauty of it. Like young filmmakers or young people look back at things and they want that, some experience they didn't have. A lot of young filmmakers I talk to, they want to take photos with film. We hated that because we had to develop it and all that, right? Same thing with the aspect ratio of 4:3 of the TV. To us, that was like we had no choice. To them, they want to film in that aspect ratio. So I feel that's the beauty of like art existing before you. You kind of go back and see all these things.
They were like inspired by the older
Yeah.
generation.
Yes.
All right, so I think we have so many like the questions to ask and also the advices and all these kind of things, but unfortunately we ran out of time for the interview and the program. So basically, we have to take this really quick break before we wrap the episode, and we would like to thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
And with that, dear viewers, we're towards the end of today's episode. I mean, they really had fun, and I'm very sure after our guests, we have lots of great youth who is watching us and maybe got inspired and feeling that they could reach their dreams, especially when it comes into filmmaking industry.
Definitely, he was a very interesting guest, and also he made this huge impact, a significant impact on the Middle Eastern, cinema and the filmmaking industry here. So. I mean, best of luck for all those who are having this, they are in
Yes.
this field, the filmmaking
indeed,
field,
indeed.
and the cinema in general. And yes,
And don't forget to watch the movie, شايف نهني.
yes, you guys too. You have to watch the movie. I'll watch it today. All right, goodbye.